Hi everyone, Wizard Journey here, and today we're going to tackle the theory of who is Deku's dad. Now just a quick disclaimer, this video has lots of manga spoilers, so if you're not caught up with the recent chapters of the manga, you have been warned. Now Horikoshi recently said that he will be revealing Deku's dad and not introducing him, thus meaning we already know who he is. So knowing that, let's dive right into his theory. We all know that Deku, or by his full name Ooka Midori, is the son of Inku Midori and Hisashi Midori. Now we know that Horikoshi loves to make puns as names and at least have some meaning behind them, so it comes to no surprise when you look at Deku's parents' name to find some references there. His mom has kanji for pull from attraction in her name, which refers to her quirk. So she has a weak quirk that makes small things attracted to her, as well as the name of Midoriya, which comes from Midori, referencing the color green, such as her and Deku's hair. We know that Deku's father has a weak fire quirk, and because of it, he traveled abroad for a job where he uses this quirk. His name is a pun or a reference as well, which is "it has been a long time" or "since I last saw you," referring to him not being in Deku's life right now since he's working overseas, as well as it might being a hint to how old All For One is. Now some of you might be wondering, how could All For One be Deku's dad if they don't technically have the same quirk? One has to take into consideration that All For One's quirk is there for him to steal other people's quirks, so maybe he took someone's weak fire quirk to blend into society and for him to find a wife and then later on have a family. The fact that both his mother and his father, who were supposedly born into the third generation of people to have quirks, to have weak quirks, might have been something to do with the fact that Deku never developed one for himself. But if one takes into consideration that All For One was the first generation, it would make a lot more sense for Deku not to have a quirk. Now that we're on the topic of quirks, let's talk about the doctor who assessed Deku to see if he would be able to have a quirk in the future. In the anime, we see a shadow of the doctor working with All For One, who looked awfully similar to Deku's doctor. Now, if the similar facial features of the two don't look similar enough to you, then look at their size. It seems to be identical when comparing him to the size of All For One and then to how he looks sitting next to Izuku's mom. But when looking at some of the more recent chapters of My Hero Academia manga, we can see that it's most likely the same doctor if you keep on looking at the facial features. It could be that All For One, as Deku's supposed dad, made him the family doctor to keep an eye on his family while being on his business or doing his business overseas. This will help him to find out if his son would ever develop a quirk and to assess if he would have to worry about Deku in the future, since Deku always wanted to become a hero. Now, while editing this, my friend actually told me that one of the reasons why Deku might have never developed a quirk was because All For One, as Deku's dad, might have taken away Deku's quirk because he saw how much Deku wanted to become a hero, and so he took away his quirk so that he would never get one, and then All For One would never have to fight his own son. Deku's doctor is called Dr. Tsubasa, and he has a grandson who coincidentally is the boy with the wings who used to play with Kachan. We all know that this boy was most likely turned into a Nomu, which was the Nomu who picked up Deku out of a group of people when Ida, Shoto, and him were fighting the hero killer. In one of the early chapters of My Hero Academia, Horikoshi wrote, "Why did the winged Nomu single out Midoriya Izuku out of the whole crowd to fly off with?" Here's something of an oblique hint. Corner. I plan to spell out all the details on the story of the Nomu where I can. I'll do my best. Now, some of you might be thinking why I might mention this specifically. Well, All For One's doctor has been revealed to be the one responsible for creating the Nomus, so it is not a big shock to see that his grandson was turned into a Nomu. Getting that out of the way, another very significant scene in this theory is the final fight between All Might and All For One. For one being when All Might and All For One were fighting, One For All knew that Deku and his friends were hiding behind the wall, but he shot the wall just above their heads to possibly give them a warning to get out of there. This might be because All For One is Deku's dad and he didn't want to hurt his own son, although he does know that he eventually will have to fight him, knowing that he has One For All. Now, All For One could have easily used more force to destroy the whole wall and even hurt the children. We've seen the potential of his power when he destroyed an entire city just to kill Nana, the former holder of One For All. Why was he holding back? Maybe because he didn't want to hurt his son at the time. The second reason why this scene in particular is significant is when All Might points to the screen and says, "You're next." In the manga, the screen is split between Shigarashi and Deku. This is fitting because Shigarashi is the quote-unquote adopted son of All For One and Deku is the successor of All Might. But this scene has more significance. If you keep reading, the next scene in the manga explains how One For All was created and shows an image of the two brothers, All For One and his brother, who seemed quirkless at the time but had the quirk to transfer. If one looks closely at the next scene and this one, you can see the resemblance in the characters. Shigarashi looks similar to the brother who obtained One For All, and Deku looks very similar to All For One. In the whole manga thus far, we have only seen All For One become really angry twice. The first time is when his brother said no to obtaining All For One, and the second time was when he got the news delivered to him that All For One was passed on to Deku. Why would All For One get so upset about Deku getting One For All from All Might, but didn't get this upset when he found out Nana passed it on to All Might? Maybe because Deku is his son and he knows that he will have to fight his own son to the death eventually. Another supporting point in this theory is that All For One's office is in America, as seen in this scene in the manga. We know that Deku's father works overseas and that Deku's mom and him are still married. This means he is most likely sending over money from overseas to support his family. It could be that this is why All For One decided to set up his office overseas in America rather than in Japan to sell the line more to his family. One of my final points that I will talk about is when Deku discovers his new quirk. Now, when I first read the chapter, I was very excited about the quirk because it looked so similar to All For One's quirk. But later, when the next chapter came out, it was revealed to be one of One For All's successor's quirks, which with this Deku also experienced a vision of not only the story behind One For All, but also All For One's story in depth. This could be because part of his blood he shares is with All For One. Finally, this might be pushing it a little bit, but in this art of Deku and All For One, they're in the same position. This might just be a coincidence, but knowing Horikoshi, it might have been done on purpose. Although I know there's a lot of similarities between Star Wars and My Hero Academia, since Horikoshi loves the series, I will not talk about it in this video because there's so much to cover there as well, and this would make this video even longer than it already is. So if you're interested in seeing a video comparing what happens in Star Wars and how it relates to My Hero Academia, let me know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like this video and subscribe for more anime and fandom related content. Let me know what you guys think about this theory. Are you convinced that All For One's Deku's dad, or do you think it's someone else? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.